Welcome back to Let's Talk Racism Ireland. I'm your host, Harrison Paul, and today we're going to get into, oh my God, if not, Ben Shapiro. This is something that I just couldn't wait, I literally couldn't wait to talk about it because there's so much here I want to talk about. I could talk for hours on so many different aspects. I could talk about how I believe this is a moment where he's trying to relate to Black fans while simultaneously condescending Black people. And of course, Black people are falling for it, and we support people like Ben Shapiro. And we should never be upset about basically our African leaders because we're traitors. We are just as much traitors here in the West as African leaders. African leaders fall like obedient servants to the Western powers, and so do we here in Europe. So when we see Africans here, he knows that he can make a move like this, and conservative Blacks see it as a joke, but he's actually condescending Black people. And here's my evidence, right? If someone said fact, this is fact, I'm gonna put up on the screen, rap isn't music, and if you think it is, you're stupid. Let's take a second to understand this, guys. The genre in which we use to liberate ourselves, don't think about it in everybody under the sun knows that rap isn't what it became now. But I'm going to defend what it became now later in this show. We all know rap, hip hop was a form of expression for Black people. When you think about Tupac, you think about Changes, that song Changes. We think about where the origin of hip hop was. We think about NWA. It was people who were fighting to be heard. When you make a statement like that and you know you're a celebrity and you know that every statement you make is going to be taken literally, and that's why you put fact on it. Rap isn't music, and if you think it is, you're stupid. That's a racist connotation if I've ever seen one. It's completely and utterly racist. He said African music isn't music. There's different forms of our music, and an African form in spoken word, rhythmic spoken word is not music. The music you made of your pain is not music. But anyway, it doesn't fool me, people like Ben Shapiro. I can tell a racist just by looking at them. When you get good character discernment, and you have a good discernment of character, judgment of character, it doesn't take you ages to know what type think that they're superior to Black people. And no wonder kind of someone's just finding out the hard way. But maybe she'll keep worshiping white people. Maybe one day she'll figure out how they really feel. But, we're going to get into his release. And I want to talk about this. So I'm going to play a little bit of the video, and then we can just...
They call me offensive, controversial. It's only two genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole freaking world. Claim that I'm racist, yeah, alright. I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go woke, go broke, no hope. It's pathetic. Pro-choice, pronouns.
I'm just going to give like 18 seconds of this guy, and I want to diagnose this guy here. So while you're stealing our flows, while you're stealing our creativity, the lyrics and the concept of the song is that we are above hip-hop culture. We're not dumb like hip-hop people. I'm above it, basically. Because he talks about, I'm not going to make your anything anyway. He is going at wokeism, right? What their idea of wokeism. And he's trying to condescend like, I'm above hip-hop culture. I am above that. Look at me. I'm the smart rapper. I'm the intelligent rapper. I'm the superior rapper because I'm not down there with my mentality and my way of thinking. So I'm just going to give you that for 2 seconds so you understand. Go listen to the song for yourself. You see what type of guy he is. And we'll go to Ben Shapiro's verse, a few seconds of it so I don't get flagged.
Don't respect.
Let's look at the stats. I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a wap. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You going to prison. I'm on television.
There you go. So don't want to get flagged, so I'm just going to leave seconds of that, and you can go and listen to it. Oh, God, help me with this today. Help me with this today. Help me with this today. All right, I'm a rapper. As you can tell, I'm a rapper, but I'm a conscious guy. Conscious individual. I was raised that way. It's just fortunate for me. I was raised that way. Um, if there's one thing that I understand about hip hop culture, as much as people want to condescend it, you are not going to get anywhere with condescending it. First of all, so much I want to say. This music is made from brokenness. The fact that this flow, we invented flows, that this triplet flow that is so infectious that he feels the need, this guy with braids, we can talk about the braids too, to copy it. Even now, we have Ben Shapiro, a bona fide racist, bona fide person who thinks in his mind he's superior to a black person. Bona fide. That he's superior to a black person.
Sup. That's right. All you folks have been sticking around for my hip hop talk because, after all, I am America's #1 hip hop artist. Dr. Dreidel, Ben and M, Jupac, Ben with the Benjis. That's right, for shizzle.
They're using this infectious flow, and this is why I don't like to condescend this new era of hip hop and what these new kids have done. No longer kids anymore. A lot of them are grown-ups, adults, Future, Young Thug, the Migos. But even when they were kids and when the new kids are in the block now, I don't like to condescend it too much because as a music fanatic and as a hip-hop fanatic, I'll never forget the first time I actually listened to Future. Now, disclaimer for people out there, I don't listen to secular music anymore, just a decision I made from as a Christian. But I've always been a rapper. And I remember when I made a decision to stop listening, discovered Future. It was 2015. Everybody knows that year. And there's so much that speaks in that music, in the flows, in the pain. I just want to say so much. Although you want to condescend it, these boys, these men who are now men when they were boys, they came up with something so genius. And I'm a music studier, especially rap, hip hop. And I listen to how we convey, we bend the auto-tune and we work the auto-tune and we convey an emotion or we convey something. And that comes from brokenness. Lord help me today. That comes from brokenness. You cannot, there's a brokenness that made these boys make this, what we call trap music, these trap drums, these trap things that people want to condescend. It came from brokenness. When you listen to the Young Thug early tapes, when you listen to Future early tapes, when you listen to even Lil Uzi, those guys, types of people, again, I don't listen to secular music, but there's so much pain in that music and brokenness, and that's why condescending it is not the way to go. Young Boy, I was a huge fan of Young Boy. There's no, I said this in one of my podcasts, I'm going to put up on the screen, cultural upbringing and from drugs to Christ. I have the benefit of being raised, by a mother who was a praying woman, Christian, God-fearing saint. My mom in full-blown tongues, worshiping and praising, coming in the house and finding her studying her Bible 90% of the time, evenings was my normality. Someone coming in, maybe being outside playing with my friends, and I walk in the kitchen and mom's on the floor crying, having a moment with God. That's my normality. You know what I mean? But when I think about it, people like Sexy Red and so forth, and he actually had not nice words for Sexy Red. You don't know, when I listen to these guys, and then sometimes, especially in this new internet era, we get to see these people's mothers, fathers, family members, and you get to see that this is not a life that they're pretending to be. They really came from these areas that, It was normal for him to see his uncle come in the kitchen and start cooking crack there as he was a toddler, you know, or a 10-year-old or 11-year-old. Or it was probably normal for some of them to see their mom bring in different men. I didn't have this, you know. You don't know what that does to these boys in the ghetto, and when I am someone who is, like I said, come from a better family, and I want to transform hip hop. And there's one thing that I've learned that I'm not going to do. You're not going to condescend it while you transform it, because there is a brokenness there. And this guy calls himself a man of God. It wouldn't be hard for a man of God to understand there's it doesn't take a prophet of God to know that a boy like Young Boy is broken. It doesn't take a prophet, someone who can see and to know that a boy like Young Boy is felt broken. And we have got to see into Young Boy's life and seen that, he doesn't come from butterflies and lilies. And a lot of these guys come from eras, and I really love how they were able to, anybody who knows hip hop, they convey the pain, even if it's with an ad lib, if it's with a, and they use the autotune to bend the lyric, and I know we got so far from what Tupac was, where we could properly articulate the pain and Nas and stuff like that. I understand that, but there was something about this music that I fell in love with myself. I used to be into Lil Wayne, and before Lil Wayne, I was into Ace Hood, and I use Ace Hood as an example because I liked he's able to articulate it clearly, like, gonna buy mama that crib, you know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember those times that gave me a mode. I remember I was like 14 years old, and I actually wrote a mixtape off the back of one of his mixtapes, and I was like, yo, this inspired me, and I wrote my first mixtape, actually my second mixtape. I was 14 years old. And then it never came out, but then I remember then I was a pop artist from 16 until whatever, and then 19 years old, I think I was 19, Future album came out, and I just clicked with this music. I clicked with the pain. I clicked with the, and if there's one thing I'm really aware of, that we're not going to save hip hop by condescending it. We're not going to save hip hop by condescending it. The same way I don't believe that we're going to save black women from wearing, white women's hair by condescending them. It's just not going to happen like that, because it comes from brokenness. The programming comes from brokenness. So when I see them thinking that the way to go about this is condescending it, like, I'm not going to feed you music that's this, I'm not going to feed you, I'm superior because I'm not dumb like those guys, and you spend it on strippers, and do you know, like, I didn't take that for granted. Like, I'm going to tell a story. I remember when I got friends with certain people in America, or I got friends, like, I'm going to start with something basic. Growing up, I didn't see my mom curse. It just wasn't curse. My home wasn't a cursing home, like, and when I went into the people's home, like, watching people's parents be like, F this or F that, or F and told you, or talk to the kids like with a foul mouth. I'm like, wow, like, and I grew up and I understand it. And then I remember when I was younger, my mom wouldn't have any sort of, you couldn't have any sort of hip hop music, all that kind of stuff, like secular music, and especially not the music videos on television. And I remember, like, and then that certain people are raised in a house where they can be sitting down watching a secular music video with their mom and dad in the room, and everyone's chilling, and no one's flinching, no one's moving. It's normality, like. And this is a huge thing. And so you have to understand now, when we take that further, there are boys in the hood who literally saw their moms drinking, literally saw their moms broken, smoking weed, smoking crack, on drugs, on crack. How dare you think that the way to save this young man is to condescend him? And I'm so happy that you think that you can let me take hip hop and make it make sense while I plagiarize. No, sorry, bro. That genius that you're copying came from pain. Yes, we're just tying up some loose ends, and we're just trying to fix the brokenness within the community. But we made lemonade in that brokenness. That's the paradox, unfortunate and fortunate thing. We made lemonade with the brokenness. We were able to make songs out of that. I don't know about you guys, but I think I've turned to hip hop, especially in this new age since 2015. I've turned to it more for a boost of energy than I've turned it more for a turn up. A turn up is definitely a factor, but it's like, you know what, I had a friend actually who was a producer of mine, and he said something. I'm not just going to credit him because it was such a great phrase. Flash the delivery guy. He used to produce some of my records. One of my mixtapes, he produced it, and he said, I'm not going to name the artist, but he said, it's a cry for help. And it was an artist who, I'm not going to say his name because I believe he's going to see the video one day. They're going to pull up. It was an artist who, he's a big honcho. Like, he's not like, you know what I mean? Like the emo trap star. He's like a honcho, But he said, actually, I think Future is Future. And I thought that was I respect him so much. I thought that was so intellectual that he could able to diagnose that what that music says is, I'm broken, but I made something of myself. I'm broken, but I made something of myself. I'm broken, but I'm wiping my tears with the hustle. I'm broken, but I'm wiping my tears with the dollars. I'm broken, and he goes, it's a cry for help. And that's the geniusness in when you listen to Future's albums or Hendrix or all those kind of stuff, or especially when Future's kind of having that kind of rappy, singy, or, he's kind of saying, I came from brokenness, but I did okay, didn't I? I did okay and when you have the capacity to understand the genre and understand the people behind the genre, you'll know I have such a love for my community. I have such a love for the Black community, and I'm so driven and motivated to, come up with a concoction sonically. I remember my last mixtape, the favorite compliment that I got from it was the novella mixtape I did. I'll put up on the screen so you can see it. It's available on all streaming platforms, but I tried drill. Trap drill came. I was like, all right, cool, I'll give this a shot, because I hadn't felt inspired by any beats. The typical Atlanta beats was the last time I did some trap music, and nothing was really striking me until I came across some, I felt like the melodic guitar beat, like the little baby type beat. It came a time where now, it was kind of being overdone. So when the trap melodic came in drill, it felt fresh, it felt new, and I did a mixtape. And that was the first time I was going to be now using my newfound consciousness in my music. So it was something that I was quite happy about. I was like, okay, beautiful. I get to, because I never wanted it to be forced. I wanted it to be, because music is a stream of consciousness. You get to see how, that's why I think that it's not pretentious. So I don't spend my money on strippers and everything like that. I was watching Nicki Minaj situation today, and I was investigating. We pray for Nicki because, she's going through a tough time right now. And she said, I was investigating on her drug situation, and she said, I wish I had been easier on my dad, because when I was younger, I thought that he wanted to be the way he was, and her dad was a drug addict. And as someone who's an ex-drug addict, I really love that mentality, because that's a broken person. These people who are on drugs or to go in situations, I even seen recently, about, I think, YN Lucy or Lucy, a rapper, was gone to jail or something like that, and someone in the comments said, rappers getting it all and then throwing it away needs to be studied. Like a rapper building all this fame and then throwing it away by getting jailed needs to be studied. And yeah, because it's a broken person. You know, I always say there's a phrase that my one of my great older friends said to me: if a man cannot change even for himself, who can he change for? And I do not take credit that I'm a rapper who, I would never let someone say, oh, you're better than all that stuff we just talk about drugs. Man. No, I'm the lucky one that I just had a mama who wasn't, I didn't have uncles who were trapping around me. I didn't have those things around me, whatever. I obviously was a curious boy, and I went into those places and I hung around with those people and I ended up connecting with it in that way. But I had that base to fall back on. I had that. When I realized how dark this road can take me, at least I said, oh yeah, that's what the Bible says, train a child in the way they should go, and when they grow, they will not part from it. When they grow, meaning they may go, but once they get older, it'll be in the deep within the subconscious mind. Oh yeah, that's why I used to see mama sprawl out in the middle of the floor in the midday, calling on to God like David in Psalms. Oh yeah, that's why she do that. That's why her head is always in that Bible. Oh yeah, that's why. And you can go back. A lot of these guys, I feel so bad. What did I fall back on? That's why one of the main things that I'm in the rap culture is like, get your money, get your money, get your money up. That's like one of the number one morals that they know to live by. It's like, that's how you be a good person, get money. You know, it's like, yeah, come on, get your head out there, get your head out of the bad stuff, just get your money, man. You know, when the oldest are telling the youngest, just come on, just get your money. And it's like, I'm even well raised enough to know that money is the root of all evil. That's not it either. Because a lot of these rappers are getting money. So then what do you tell them now? How do they get rid of those, as we say, those demons now? Because they are getting money. They said if I hustle, if I stay in the studio all night, I don't sleep. But then I'm still popping the Zans and I'm in a Juice World situation. So I did the hustling, you know, and it's like, this is brokenness, it's real brokenness, it's not pretense, you know. So this is to these guys who think that they can condescend our genre. Anyway, sorry, I just remembered. So I made the mixtape and everything like that, and I was like, all right, cool, like, I'm going to try to put some conscious into the rap. And if there's one thing, the compliment that I love so much that someone said to me was like, I loved it. I asked him for a review, and I barely know this guy. He's like a friend of my brother's, and he's a hip hop fan too. And apparently, and he goes, it didn't feel too preachy, but I got what you were trying to do. I got the message. And I really love that. That compliment is probably gonna be my, you know how like you have goals and you have vision board and you put them up on your room. That's like on the vision board of my brain. It's like, I don't want to feel like I'm preaching down these kids, because that's not what we're looking for. I don't want to feel like I'm preaching down these kids. I'm waggling my finger at these kids, and that's what's happening, because I'm trying to come from a perspective where I actually give you something that's worth swapping out the other music that perpetuates the violence or perpetuates I understand this, it's infectious, and we can't take that away from it, because that's what it is. That's why this guy is trying to copy it as he condescends it, as he tries to say like he's above black, and let me not even get into that. But that's my message to the black community and to hip-hop fans. I am deeply now indulging in this topic when it comes to like race relations and black consciousness. And then of course, I'm going to come back with a mixtape, and I'm going to be really carving that out with myself, because I feel like I have something to offer to hip hop. And I want to put it at this. I was lucky enough that when I was growing up, my mom would say to me, like I told you, no this, don't want that, no want that. And I remember when Wiz Khalifa came out, and he was like, we all know when he came out, he was like Mr. Peace guy. Everyone was violence, and he was like, just hippie, you know? Yeah. And of course, me being hip hop, me being mom being a bona fide Christian, I was like, okay, mom, look at this guy. He talks about peace. Is he good enough? And my mom was like, well, she looked at all the tattoos and everything like that. And I'm not judging about the tattoos, and of course I kept the part away from her where he smokes weed, trying. But it became my thing was like, I want to make something for these young people. I want to make something that's like a kid who's in the trap and in the gutter and in unfortunate circumstances and surroundings that doesn't help a young brother come out of that. I know some people do. Again, I'll end on this. Not everybody's the same. No, not everyone has to be the same. That's the uniqueness of human life. Not everyone has to be the same. Some people come out the gutter and make it to Harvard. Some people don't. Stop trying to make people robots. Some people operate off their emotions and need a proper guidance on how not to operate off emotions. I think that's probably why I went into drugs. I'm a very emotional guy. So when you operate heavily on your emotions and depend heavily on emotions, you are medicating your emotions because you put your emotions so high. And so most times you meet they're probably really good guys who are very good at giving love, very good at giving support. And it's a double-edged sword. It's their strength, but also can be their weakness. So I had to learn myself that I'm very good with emotions, very good with expressing, but I shouldn't lean too much on my emotions, because now if I'm not feeling okay, doesn't mean I have to go and smoke a blunt. I can put my emotion to the side and say, okay, just because you're sad, doesn't mean you got to throw it all away. And listen, I want to give something to the rap community, hip hop community, something where we can feed the young people's minds. It actually is good. And the kid in the hood can relate to it and enjoy it. And then the kid in, who's a Christian, who's like me, in a Christian family, can say, mom's like, who's that hip hop artist? And he's like, no, Mom, look, it's Harrison Paul, look. And she can look and say, I'm quite happy my son is into this guy, Actually, we can be in a car ride home and you can spin the record and then you don't have to skip past any record thinking, I don't want Mom to hear that one. And I think that's going to take a lot of thinking. And I feel like I've been blessed to be able to have the database in my mind to pull from, and even in my spirit, in my walk with Christ. So I owe that to the hip hop community, and I can't wait to give it. But this way is not going to do it. Condescending is not going to do it. And this is a typical white conservative and white imperialist perspective towards it. Putting your chin up towards the whole people, like, why don't they just pull up themselves and just do? This is why I said to some guy recently, and he's a good friend of mine, but he's mixed. And I told him, listen, bro, because he always tries, we have nice debates. I said, listen, bro, you don't care enough about the psychology of the black community. I'm not going to have a debate with someone who doesn't actually care about, you don't care. You just pop up sometimes when you disagree with something I've posted, and that's fine. But I think you have to know that I'm giving info based on a deep dive into the psychology and the damage that could have happened to us psychologically and the traumas within our community. So no, Ben doesn't stay up at night worried, like, man, hurt for people. You do that for Israel or the Zionists. That's fine. Now watch somebody, if someone was to mock his Zionist people, look at the way he would lose his mind, and black conservatives would still follow Ben Shapiro. Anyway, thanks for watching.
And I'm on a mission for you.